Hey everyone! So it's a really crappy day out today, so I'm staying inside where it's nice and warm, making good use of the time. What I'm doing today is making some adjustments to my ledger system here. If you're familiar with the channel, you know that I have all my coffee cans and pickle jars and various vessels, all numbered and categorized, and everything is in my ledger. So if I want to find something, I just look it up, directs me right to where it is. And I shared my system in a video quite a while back, and I know that some of you have used this and love it because I hear about it. I know I love it because it was so maddening all the time that I knew I had something and I couldn't find it, so I'd run to the hardware store and buy another one. And this has eliminated the problem, and every single time that I want something, I look it up and I go right to it. It makes me smile, like I said. We went to the dump and I saw this metal recipe box, and I go, I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put my ledger system in this. The binder works really good, but as I go through it looking for stuff, like which I do all the time, the pages get kind of buggered, and I was going to laminate them and whatnot, but I've switched it over to this. Now this is a really deep box and I don't have enough cards for it, so right now I just got something stuffed in the back. Maybe I'll find a shallower one at the dump on another day. But I have my system right here, okay? So at any time that I want something, let's just say right here, if I want air hose fittings, I have a ton of them. They are in pickle jar number 36. If I want an awl and various spools of thread, instead of having it in a junk drawer and all over the place, right here it's in CC 42. That stands for Coffee Can 42. See what I'm saying? Right there. We always have shoelaces in the house. Can't always find them. They're usually in the junk drawer. We don't have a junk drawer on purpose, so those are in Coffee Can 43. Look at the shoelaces, right? So you see what I'm saying? So anyway, I got this at the dump. Nice little find. I wasn't going to take home anything else. And then I just saw a bag sticking out of a box of whatever it was, dishes or something. I go, what's in there? And I pulled it out, and look at this. It's full of nice black iron door hardware. There's got to be, I don't know, there's a lot of them in there, and they got the little decorative screws right with them. So I am going to list them under H for handles, and I'm going to list them. I have a card that's just for cabinet stuff. Cabinet handles, cabinet hinges, cabinet locks, anything to do with cabinets. I'm going to put that in there. There's a lot of handles there. And I also put it under H for handles, black iron, cabinet. And it's listed PJ 23. That's the way I list things. It takes 2 seconds to list it in multiple ways, like sheetrock screws. I might list it under S for sheetrock screws. I might list it under D as drywall screws and put it under screws. Takes 2 seconds to do it that way, but when I go to look for something, I'm going to look for it in the manner that I would name it, like drywall screws. But someday I might call it a sheetrock screw, and on other days I might be thinking in a different way and get a little more technical and go to the card that has screws and then find the category for it. This little system is flawless. Black iron handles. PJ stands for pickle jar 23. On my way up to the cabin and driving by Lake Champlain, and look at all the geese out there. They're camped out along the edge of the road because they know nobody can hunt here. Looks like they got it all figured out. And there goes some Amish. No hurry there either. Just poking along at 1 horsepower. Must have been pretty chilly here because it's colder in the cabin than it is outside. A bit too chilly for sleeping. So I get a little fire going, get the chill out of the air. Every time I kneel down in front of this stove and make a fire though, I can't do it without thinking of Frankie.
Give me some firewood.
He was always a good helper.
Good
He
boy.
was grabbing the kindling and helping me out. He knew what was going on.
Good boy. We'll get a fire going soon enough.
Tildy tries to help, but she's so full of foolishness that she just grabs the matches and makes a run for it. You gotta make a game out of everything. She's full of it, that one. Although I think she's just toying with me because I haven't bought her the squeaky pig toy over at the Dollar General. One more little split there. And that ought to doodle it. This is the first time the cabin has ever been hooked with a 100-pounder. Does that mean we're staying, Mom?
We're staying for longer periods anyway.
The way it is right now, these 2 tanks would last a few years, but once we get living here permanently, we'll also have some gas heat back up, and we'll go through some gas and may end up having the propane freezer going again. Last year you saw us bring up a tank that was empty when we hauled it up here, and it's been sitting here, and we brought up another one and we stopped at Tractor Supply and their propane filler wasn't working. So we hauled it up. We went to the place that we used to get our gas from when we lived here, and it was cheaper than New Hampshire. So I'm going to strap these to the building so they don't knock over. And we are set.
All right.
We'll be cooking with gas. You got dirt all over your tongue. What are you doing?
You having fun?
You having fun?
Bring it closer.
I almost threw it in the fire. So the other day, when I was getting ready to head up here, somebody had commented on one of my videos where I was filming in my little workshop that's attached to the greenhouse up on the mountain. And I had some of the deer racks on the wall behind me. And they had asked me if I would show some photos of those deer and maybe talk a little bit about some of the bucks I've gotten in the past. And I've been asked that before and never really did much of that. But I just packed up my antlers and I brought them up here. I'm bringing my stuff up here a little at a time. And I'm going to hang those racks in my little workshop here. So I'll fulfill his request. And I'll talk a little bit about them. I've kept all of my racks from all the deer. I could just never part with them. They mean a lot to me. It's a different game now, you know. I don't take it real serious. I don't really like killing the animals at all, but it's pretty hard to harvest meat without doing that. And I hunt for the meat, you know. I mean, I appreciate a big rack buck as much as anyone, but I am a meat hunter, and that's why I'm out there, and I get what I need, and then I provide a safe haven on my property for the deer after that. So it's a nice balance. But anyway, I'm going to hang a couple of those racks in my workshop, so I'll fulfill his request. There's a lot of memories in this tote here. So we messaged back and forth quite a bit, talking about hunting and whatnot. And he had asked me how many deer I had gotten in my life, and you know, I really don't know. I'm going to guess somewhere around 125, 130, somewhere in that bracket, give or take. I always kept very close count until I reached 100, and then it just kind of faded away. But again, I'm really not sure. This one here, I think, was the second deer I ever got in my life. I'm pretty certain that was that one. There's a lot of them this size, you know. Big enough to be respectable in a sense, but they are still real good meat deer. Lots and lots and lots of spike horns. You know, little racks, tons and tons of those. This was my very first deer ever. And on November 24th, 1984. My first year living off the grid. But we didn't call it that back then. Never even heard of such a thing. Sometimes I'd clean the skull up like that. I kind of like the way those look. But this buck right here, this main beam is 25 inches long. And then he had a stumpy little fork on this side. And I'm not 100% certain why that happens. Either it's an injury to the rack itself when it's still soft and in velvet. But I've been told that if the animal had an injury on the opposite side of his body, that the rack will be deformed on the other side. I don't know how true that is. He dressed out at 216 pounds. A nice buck. Brow tines were broken off. This fella here, this one dressed out at 202. This was a heck of a nice buck. A little bit of snow on the ground. That was a beauty. And then this one here, beautiful rack, beautiful rack. I didn't weigh this deer, but his body really wasn't that big. He was on a property that I was looking to buy. It was 190 acres, and the guy said that I could hunt it when I was there, but I was a dandy. Lots and lots of this size deer. Now these two bucks here are ones that you have probably seen in the videos I had made before we moved to New Hampshire, where I was hunting on my marsh. I get my kayak, paddle across my marsh, go hunt. I got one of the bucks, put him in the kayak, paddle across to the homestead. Almost identical hunt the following year. That made some good footage and good memories. So the rest of this is a whole bunch of those, that size deer here. I don't know how many are in here, but there's a lot of them. All good memories. So there, a few decorations for the cabin workshop. I don't get tired of looking at antlers. Well, I'm putting my hunting stuff away for another year here, folks. Most of it, anyway. I'm going to leave some stuff out because I'd like to get back to the cabin one more time and possibly take another deer. The meat cache is all set for the two of us under normal circumstances, but we have taken Tildy completely off of commercial dog food, even commercial dog treats. We are completely done with it. And I will elaborate on that in an upcoming video. A while back, we told you briefly that Tildy was very sick. In fact, one night we didn't know if she was even going to make it through the night. It was very, very heartbreaking. We spent close to $3,000 on vet bills to try to get to the bottom of this. We found some help, but not enough. And we just decided to take her completely off of commercial dog food. Lori did tons of research on making homemade dog food. We're using venison for the primary protein source for this, so I'd like to get another deer. Hopefully that the poisons in the commercial dog food didn't do permanent damage to her pancreas and her liver. I'm going to be getting this video out as soon as possible because it's a real eye-opener, and if you love your pet as much as we do, you're going to want to watch it. With that aside, Tildy's feeling good. I just shared my tote full of memories by request of one of my subscribers, and I'm sure that, like any other time that I talk about hunting or show a dead deer or how we harvest our meat, I'll get some backlash. But it is what it is. People complain no matter what. Doesn't matter. There's always complaints in my inbox. I've gotten used to it. A lot of folks have been asking how come we're not posting a lot of videos anymore. It's because we are doing what we said we would be doing, and that is retiring. We are both completely retired, and we will continue to share our life with you, but it's going to be when we can fit it in. We're trying to live life to the fullest, like everyone should, and for us that doesn't mean sitting indoors in front of the computer as often as I was before. So I'm going to wrap it up and get outside. It's a sunny day. I want to get out there and walk around in the new snow. So all the best, and God bless.
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go. There's a pokey way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss.